Hi class. I will be speaking today about effective communication within a project and how project managers should communicate with their team members and as well as stakeholders, and some key techniques and things that should be done to ensure effective communication. So, a couple of key techniques, things to do to communicate effectively as a project manager is to ensure that there is an open conversational atmosphere for communication in the workplace. So businesses have changed. It's no longer top down, giving orders, executives just giving orders. It's more of a more conversational atmosphere starting to take place in businesses and projects. And this just allows for input to be given and received uh, by both parties. So it helps facilitate some things. And so another thing would be to understand and utilize the three communication techniques as a project manager. And these techniques are just really how best to reach the audience and convey that message the most accurate. And it depends on the situation really. There's interactive communication, which is face to face, like in person meetings, your virtual calls, phone calls, anywhere where you can get important information relayed in an intimate way, making sure this is really for important information, making sure they understand, making sure they take action items seriously. And so verbal face-to-face is interactive communication. Pool communication involves getting information to places like website pages or management software and apps, so it is readily accessible for users, any user to access. So that's really helpful. Helps people feel like they aren't at a loss, that they don't have to ask every little question, that they can also help themselves in times of trouble if important information are on website pages or anything that they could use to access. And push communication involves like non-sensitive information, maybe like a hey, heads up email, outline, newsletters. It's nothing that needs to be taken care of immediately or urgently. So this is another way to just relate information. It is important that project managers don't overuse this type of communication, push communication, or they can seem dismissive to their teammates and stakeholders. So some do's and don'ts when communicating with the team and stakeholders for project managers. They do want to establish an effective communications plan with the team early on. And this plan just explicitly outlines the process, the types, and expectations of all communication obligations throughout a project. So very important to see that just heading into a project and knowing what is expected communication-wise. And then you don't want to rely on one communication channel more than the other for all engagements, like I mentioned before. Something to do is to hold frequent meetings to ensure continual support. Everyone understands everything, and also value and encourage opinions and actively listen. So just supporting that open conversational atmosphere for communication. So the major components of the communication plan include the 5 W's, like why, which is the intent of the message. What is the message? Who is the source of the message? When would the timeline of communication happen? Where would the meetings, or where would it take place? Meetings, phone calls, things like that. And how? How is the channel of the message, how it will be presented? Another thing that is included is to consider and plan for any enterprise environmental factors. So to think about these environmental factors is really important, like PMIT, work authorizations, marketplace conditions. Those all factor into how things are communicated. And then lastly, identify any organizational process assets. So this affects how members and stakeholders communicate. Examples of this include performance measurement criteria, change control procedures, project closure requirements. Those are really important things to take note of when communicating. Keeping those timelines in check and requirements up to date. So the communication plan is vital for project success. According to B.G. Zolk, an author and researcher at Procedia Technology at Science Direct, communication is so important to project success that it has been referred to as the lifeblood of a project by more than one practitioner. Project team members need to collaborate, share, collate, and integrate information and knowledge to realize project objectives. The reason for communication in project management may be a request for information, sending information, asking questions, giving an instruction, building teams, or networking. The success of communication mainly depends on the sender's ability to speak, write, reason, and listen competently. So, who's the most important person on the group or in the group of communication? It would be the sender. Communication process involves the sender, the message, and the receiver, and the medium of communication. So, how it's relayed. So, the sender is the most important because it is their primary responsibility to ensure the message is received accurately and an action is taken appropriately. So yeah, that is why a few reasons why communication is important, telling you why communication is important, and things that a PM can do to ensure effective communication. Thank you.